Hey, Maven, if you are a female founder, entrepreneur, CEO, nonprofit leader, social influencer, you want to be sure to check out this video with my guest, LaGina Harris, as she's sharing information about how do we create spaces where we can thrive as leaders and feel comfortable being ourselves. So grab all of this great information in this video to follow. See you soon. Hey, Maven Nation. Welcome to another episode of Success with Saneness. We are your bi-weekly dose of solution-inspired stories to just help you maintain your well-being. So today's guest, I really would describe her in my own words as the little engine that could, because she does it all, like literally does it all. I know she's totally cracking up at that. My guest today is none other than Miss LaGina Harris, my fellow July baby celebrator. We are each other's people. We connected as soon as we met. So I'm gonna give you a few words to describe LaGina, and then I'm gonna let her tell us a little bit more about what I call her colorful background, because she's kind of done a lot of different things that has landed her in this beautiful space today. So she is a social impact entrepreneur, a positive disruptor, the founder of the Us Space, a thought leader in the future of work and community building. Listen, here's the one: higher education, matriculation practitioner. Y'all get all the words. And on top of all of that, she's a media personality. So you see why I call her the little engine that could. LaGina, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining Maven Nation.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Myra.
We always sing each other's names like that, y'all. So tell us, give us a little bit more of your wonderful background. I know your story, but I really think it's one of the more interesting stories that include straight lines and roundabouts and U-turns and all kinds of things, but still brought you to such a wonderful place today. I think you are a great example of what I call there are no wasted experiences, because everything in our past has brought us to the journey where we are today.
Yeah, there are no wasted experiences. Some you may not want to have, some that you wish you had
Right?
more of, but I don't think any of them are wasted. I always like to start off that I am the daughter of two parents, and my mother was a military officer, a Black female military Air Force officer to be precise. And so I feel like that's the origin story is two Black parents that worked really hard to have a highly functioning family that turns out where we were all successful adults, right? But they were very mindful of who they were and where they came from and what they wanted to build, and did it successfully and non-traditionally because my dad was my primary caregiver until I was 13 or so. And my mom was the one that was full time out there working. And my dad was at home with us and an entrepreneur. So went on the road with him and everything else. So a different, but a very steady childhood. I'm a Cancer, like Myra said. So that equals all the things that a good Cancer description entails, including creativity and the wanting to serve and be an empath and help people. And so I've just done a lot of things in life in my short 37 years. I feel like I have several lifetimes. My earbuds keep falling out. We'll just keep picking them back up. But
It's all
in a
good.
nutshell, yeah, for sure. I think in a nutshell, the biggest thing about me is um, it's not necessarily the career or what I'm doing, but how and who I'm helping while I'm doing it. That's always been the biggest thing for me. And luckily, through my family and through friends, I've been able to do that with a lot of pushback for just, I wouldn't say flying blind, but going with where the Lord directs me.
Yes, I love it. And I think you do it unapologetically. I have not known you for a long time, but one of the things that I have definitely observed about you is that a no is just a statement. You're still going to plow forward and figure out how to get to the yes. You're just going to keep going. You don't ask about it. You don't talk long about the no. You're like, okay, they said no. What's next? Like, how do we move to the next thing, which I think is so important in the space of Black female entrepreneurship, right? We run into a lot of no's. We're going to get told no more frequently than our peers, right? That are not Black. Um, that leads me to why did you think it was important to create the us space? Explain what the us space is, and why is that such an important space, especially in our current time?
I'll start with uh, being right out of undergrad. So I moved to Austin, Texas after going to undergrad in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I finished up at Stillman College. Shout out to HBCUs. What's up? And so I went to my undergrad at Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I was about to graduate. Of course, I had never seen an internship or anything like that, but luckily I had worked at Boys and Girls Club, and the CFO at the time was like, LaGina, you're a star. Pick two cities in the country. Let's get you a job with Boys and Girls Club, because I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. So I applied Jacksonville, Florida, and Austin, Texas. I got into being a Boys and Girls Club director in Austin, Texas, right out of college. And I had my club and everything else. And typical to any millennial, I have left or quit or pivoted from a job because I wasn't seen or I wasn't respected or they talked crazy. And we, as a millennial, we don't have to put up with that. So I would leave. So Boys and Girls Club was a really, really good experience, but somewhere along the way, my journey was done. I had decided that I wanted to go to graduate school. And I said, you know, what better way to go to graduate school than to also be working in exactly what I was learning? So I, I applied for a job at Houston Tillotson University. At the same time, I applied to start graduate school at Kaplan. And, um, and that's where the journey began. I didn't realize I was in a double course load the whole time I was in school because my advisor didn't tell me. I guess she thought I was a little engine that could too. She was like, "Yeah, you got it."
Right?
And so I was at Houston Tillotson University working full time first is recruitment and admissions, assistant director of recruitment and
Mm-hmm.
admissions, and then I moved over to first year experience. While I was doing that, Myra, I was working at a bar in downtown Austin, a gay bar in downtown Austin. It was very, very established, and I was the first there, right? I was a unicorn, whether it was woman, hetero enough, black, all the things. I was there and I was working and I was doing good. So I was like, this isn't about to stop. And then I ran into a softball girl one day and I was talking to the dad because I don't know a stranger. I think I was at a barbecue restaurant and I saw her in her uniform. I'm just remembering this. I saw her in a uniform. I talked to her dad. Her dad happened to be the manager of the team. And then next thing you know, I'm the head softball coach for a 16U team, softball team that travels every weekend. I've never told this whole story. This
Of
is so
course you are. I've never heard
funny.
this story, but of course you were.
And then somewhere along the way, while I'm in first year experience, one of my like PLCs, which was like a peer learning consultant, which was like the mentor, the student mentor to groups of freshmen, because I did cohort studies, matriculation models, all this stuff. She wanted to run for campus queen. I was like, we got this. And, you know, pretty little thing, super smart, the scholar. We won, but I was her full time advisor. She started an org. I became that advisor. So a lot of things were happening. Somewhere along the way, I started painting for my mental health, and my patrons at the bars saw it and they were like, "This is really good. You need to do something with it." And so my visual art stuff started. And one day, I fell asleep on the couch and I missed my bar shift. And my manager was calling me, calling me, calling me, calling me. And, you know, our natural assumption, women of color, guilty, young, whatever it is, so anybody that needs to prove themselves in the gap. So when I answered the phone, I was so scared I was going to get in trouble. And all he
Okay.
said, he was like, "Are you okay? Are you
Right.
like, what's going, you never, like, you're all,"
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I'm crying. I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I just got back from softball," all these things. And he was like, "Go to sleep." And I was like, okay. And so after that, I sat down and I realized, I was like, why am I doing all of this stuff? Why am I doing all of this stuff? And I realized that like every entity of where I was in something I wanted to be, do, or support, or somebody wanted me to check a box, just one box that I wasn't willing to be in. And at that
Mm-hmm.
point, I was talking to other friends and I realized that like I'm not the only one that needs something like this. And before I
Right.
realized what I was doing, and before it was a name, I started creating the us space. And when I moved to Houston in 2019, I dove fully into it.
Oh, listen. Again, that's the first time hearing all of those pieces of the story, but it makes like that sleep woke you up.
Mm.
That sleep woke you up. Be like, okay,
Myra, don't turn my story into a poet. Poet, that sleep. Y'all gonna see it on LinkedIn. That sleep woke you up.
listen, it's what I do. It's what my brain does. It takes all these pieces and goes, oh wow, that actually is an alignment. But listen, the us space, I've been a member for over a year now. And I will say this about the us space for me. Coming from corporate for over 25 years, I didn't know I needed the us space until I got there. I just thought I've been a full-time entrepreneur at that time for 7 years, working from home. Eh, I'm good. And I think for me, I probably needed that much time to decompress from my corporate career.
That part.
Just that part. But I will say, um, I want you to talk a little bit about for women, even men that don't know they need that type of community or some kind of community. Especially if you're an entrepreneur. Listen, Maven Nation, you might think that, oh, I can do this alone. I don't need anybody. Lies, I say. It's not. You probably could do it, but you're not doing it with the joy, the love, the fun that we have at the us space. Now we work, no doubt, but honey, we're gonna get some laughs in and some pure joy about anything. It doesn't even really matter what it is. Why is that so important for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, women that just have the idea? They don't even have the business yet. They're just trying to figure out what's the power of community for them.
Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna try to keep this as short as we can. When you look at what we're doing, having businesses. You find a problem, you see a challenge, and you know that somewhere in you, in your network, you can create a solution. That's
Mm-hmm.
great. Doing what you love is one of the best things you can do in the world. And even people that have like full-time jobs and are able to work remote, we have members like that. And I think it goes back to what you were saying. The thing I think is that people enjoy joy and people enjoy the intentionality of what the us space represents. It's, you know, we talk about intentional spaces and it's physical and it's mental and it's the online platform. But walking into something that is built for you or built around a loving community that is always bringing people with you, it's the simplest concept that is so challenging for um, you to grasp unless you
Mm-hmm.
experience it. So kind
Yeah.
of like you said, because I remember the first time you came in, you're like, okay, well, maybe I'll tell some people about this. And you came back, and then I had a crowdfunding campaign, and you became a founding member. And I was
Yes.
like, okay, I think she gets it, and it's about the respect of a person and what they're doing, and not only defining the person for their color or their age or what they're doing, but how they're
Mm-hmm.
doing it and who they are as a person. Like we have everything from people like you and like Franca that are you know corporate and have been multi-million dollar earners and all of these things, to people that are just starting off and having ideas. And when I tell you,
Right.
like, we're all in a room together, it's just this. It's not even a level playing field. The table is built for us, so it's just this level of comfort and ease, and it's also like a place you can come back to. Go out, do your thing, come back. Oh, we're
Right.
gonna go. I remember one time we went to a vegan vegetarian food truck place at night. And it was after some of us had some pretty rough days and we all met there. And it was just so funny. You know, we couldn't convince one of the members that she was not eating meat. It's just those memories. And, and honestly, the way we formed our partnerships and the way we support, it's just so feasible for you to do to invest in yourself and your business. Because one thing I've learned, like as an entrepreneur, at first I was like, well, I don't have the money. And I sit back and I look and I'm like, well, if I didn't go out that one time or I had less of a drink or maybe I just go and push to get, you know, one customer acquisition to afford this thing, the more I've been able to invest in myself, the more I've been able to invest in my business, the larger my business is getting. The more robust I'm becoming as a founder and an entrepreneur. And the sounder I am, the sounder my business is. So that's why
Yeah.
that space is
No,
important.
yeah, I love it because I think too, I've, just in my times there, when two women might just be having a conversation about something, right? Something in their business, and someone that has a solution for that, here's this conversation. Now we've turned a two-person conversation into a six-person conversation, and someone saying, here's the answer to the problem that you're having. This
Yeah.
is the solution. Click here, go there, email this person, call this person. I'm doing an e-intro. It really is that simple. And I think because your heart, your spirit is in the right place,
Mhm.
sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially Black female entrepreneurs, there can kind of be this sense that everything is competition. Whether you are a nurse and that other person is a florist, where's the competition in that, right? But there's like this undercurrent that that's what we're supposed to do. And I have truly found that um, gathering with other women at the us space, that is not the story. We are
Yeah.
intentional about welcoming people, making them feel at home. Again, it's not about what one person is already down the road in and you're not. We want to open the door and bring you on down the road as well. Um, Now, we're going to shift a little bit to some of your other amazing hats. LaGina also is an amazing podcaster with her show called Let's Talk. She also has a radio show that is Stomping Ground. And listen, I've been on the show. Listen, this is late in the evening time. Late. It's just
Oh,
share what you want to share, say what you want to say it how you want to say it. But again, I think all of these components of what you offer, and again, that undercurrent is supporting others, being a social impact person. No matter what you put out, that undercurrent is still there, that you're here to support other people. So tell us a little bit about the podcast. I'd like the to draw the comparison. Your podcast, what's your focus there, and then Stomping Ground, what's your focus there? Because they're two really different things that you do.
yeah, they're really different. And, you know, I think that everything that I do like ties together is a positive disruptor, like you explained in my beautiful description of self. Yeah, I'm a positive disruptor. So when you think about the us space, while you're in business doing your thing, I'm out there making sure that there's more avenues and more resources for us to have. And so when you
Mm-hmm.
shift over to podcast and radio, I started podcasting when I was in Austin. And I realized through bartending and just through familiar relationships that a lot of women were telling me really what would be perceived as like intimate things about themselves, coupled
Mm-hmm.
with don't say anything at the end. And I'm like, huh. But at least 10 of these women that I had talked to, the stories were, there was some kind of parallel or alignment. And I was like, huh, well,
Mm-hmm.
maybe this is just women. And maybe we should talk about it more because so many things around women are pointed that we shouldn't talk about, whether it's
Right.
breastfeeding and chafing and mammograms and menstrual cycles and vaginal risk,
Mm-hmm.
all the things. And why is it
Yep.
bad? And so I went and I approached these close friends and family members. I'm like, hey, I know you like poured your gut out to me and you asked me never to say it again. if you say that, I'm very comfortable, but I have this idea. I've been listening to NPR a lot. I'm going to do a podcast. And it was before podcasting became super cool. So I was
Right.
like cutting edge. And I started doing a podcast that I recorded in my apartment in downtown Austin in a closet. And I still say that was my best sound audio year. And I got the advice from a friend that worked for NPR at the time.
Mm,
She's like, go sit in your closet around a whole bunch of clothes and you get the
right.
best sound. So I
Mm-hmm.
started, and the idea was women telling their true unapologetic story, a piece of that journey, how they wanted to tell it in their own time and own words. And I have a lot of like male best friends. So one of my friends called me one day, actually two within a week. It was very interesting. Oh, I heard your show, love it. I can't wait to be on. And I'm like, no, you Mel, sit down and listen. This is not for you. And one of them was like, okay, LaGina, he's Puerto Rican. And he's like, okay, LaGina, as soon as you figure out how to incorporate your male friends, let us know. Listen.
Okay.
And I'm like, whatever. So I think shortly after season two, I decided, and I think you were in season two, I
Mm-hmm.
decided to bring men in. And so LaRae Infinity Let's Talk became a series of podcasts. And the second one is called Let's Talk to Men About It. And it's
Okay.
men sharing their experiences with women and their observations of women, how they can show up
Mm,
better for women. And then right at the end, we flip it and they ask two judgment free questions so that they can have the opportunity to get it wrong, to get it right. Because I don't think that there's enough space, even in society, for men to ask the questions so that they can
right.
understand more, because it's all been societally shut down. And then I have Let's Talk on the side. Women, well, me as a millennial black girl, single, telling her life and her thoughts and everything. And one day I was volunteering with Harambe Art Gallery for their Ladies in the Hat when they were moving this theater production virtual.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady that was organizing was like, hey, I want to introduce you to the owner of All Real Radio, because I know you keep talking about repurposing your podcast. Because Myra, at this point, I really didn't feel like I was doing like a good job of telling these women's or sharing these women's stories, because they had shared so much and I didn't think enough people were
Okay.
listening. So that's how I got to radio, because I was repurposing my podcast. 6 months into that, everybody, like, the feedback was, love the show, but we can go listen to your podcast anywhere. We actually like when we hear you talk. And so that's how Stomping Ground with LaGina Rae came about. And it's celebrating our journeys, our culture, our walk in our skin and our truth. Fly on the wall conversation. It's adult. It's really around entrepreneurs and community builders here in Houston, Chicago, all over the country, that are doing their thing. And I have segments. We talk a lot of, can we cuss? Um,
Yes.
okay, we talk a lot of shit, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really about how we are showing up for our community, our life experiences, and what professionalism looks like now. So
Ah,
there.
that's an interesting point because I say professionalism does look different from what it looked 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. Which that's okay. I think that you're right. Millennials are very unapologetic about how they're going to show up. Like you might be able to give a few parameters on some requirements, but outside of that, this is who I am and this is how I'm going to show up. And that, we raised four millennials. We survived. We're still here.
Yeah,
But just
yeah,
seeing them kind of move into the world and do what they do, right or wrong, right? It really is refreshing because I think my generation, we carried so many, we gotta show up this way, we gotta be this way, we gotta overproduce, we all of the overs. We were
hmm
the over generation, over everything, right? And I think now, I think that's why the us space connected with me so well, because I saw a group of women that were doing it. Is it perfectly polished? Is it this way? It's not, but it's being done and traction
Yeah.
is being made. And I think that is good for even my generation to see, to be connected to women that are younger than us, because there's a lot of tenacity that you guys, and I'm a pretty tenacious person,
You are
but to
pretty
see the ways in which you guys just move forward, like, yeah, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm going anyway. Versus, I believe, I know I was more of the notion, I got to have all these things figured out first before I go. And you don't get anything in that way, which leads me to a thought on women entrepreneurs
Mhm.
and the barriers that we really listen. The world has some barriers out there for us, right? We're, underpaid, underserved, all of these things. But what about the barriers we create for our own selves?
Yep.
And I think one of those things is we're so worried about having it all figured out and it being so polished and so like the ducks are already in a row. Where I always say to myself, where is your faith? If you got it all figured out, where do you get to insert faith if you think you have it all figured out? What have you seen of women that are part of the us space, or even, there's opportunities to come to the us space for accountability day. You don't have to be a member, you pay a day fee. Um, and to me, those are some of the most fun days because you have these new faces, and some people come in and they're kind of like, what are these ladies really going to be doing? And we immediately make it welcome. Everybody's relaxed. But what have you seen with entrepreneurs? It's barriers
I,
that they've created for themselves, not necessarily something the world has said is a barrier.
yeah. Um, there's a lot of things. I think I'll start with the experiences of bringing people into the us space, right?
Hmm.
We're in a building in downtown Houston, the physical location. And I would say the first clean year, a lot of times when people would come up, they'd be so uncomfortable being in a building in downtown Houston. And I don't know if those are barriers that we create, because I think a lot of things in our head are something that society has helped form. And
Okay.
so when I think about that, the sense of belonging is one thing that I think that the U space is really helping answer for women of color in particular, or the people in the gaps, the minorities. I do tours of this building all the time. The space team does tours of, the Cannon floor, who's our partner. And we're like, and they're like, okay, where do we sit? I'm like, this is our floor, everything,
Right.
or it's like, I love this idea, this concept. And that's really another reason, I'm a research geek. I did the research around who shared flex third co-working spaces are marketing towards, and it's not people that look like me. It's not people that look like, our members, Alexis or Connie or anybody. They look like the white male in tech that's a millennial. All good,
Yep.
but then there's a lot of money and a lot of people that need a lot of resources and that can give resources left on the table. So I think one of the things that the space is helping solve and answer is even that sense of belonging, and not in this way of like kumbaya, but like
Right.
where like you belong here. Because while I think almost every member that has been on this floor has gotten some partnership, some customer acquisition, some collaboration just from being it here, showing up, being in the spaces where business and entrepreneurialism and this ecosystem up and down Main Street is really having. And so that's one thing. Another thing is something that you said earlier is, yeah, you got it. You did it for 7 years, but now you see from being a member of the US space how it can be different. And
Yes.
that intergenerational thing is so beautiful, whether it's intergenerational in age or maybe your business experience. And that's a big thing. I've seen women that are older in age and younger in business learn from people that are younger or older in business and younger in age, and vice versa.
Right.
So I think that the intergenerational ability that the space is able to house that openness, because honestly, I am a tomboy. Again, most of my friends, all the way up to like 32, were men outside of like my
Mm-hmm.
softball teammates and stuff. And although I am in a sorority, I had the biggest anxiety going into um, settings that were inviting to women, especially women of color. And so, as the us space is built out, I've been very mindful that like we are just good people doing good things. And so when people
Mm-hmm.
come in the room, invite them in that way. It's not if you're wearing heels, like I will come up here in sweats and a t-shirt. I like dressing cute lately, but don't get it twisted. I'm trying to still find us all tracksuits. That's my dream is that a space have tracksuits in like
Of
onesies
course.
made by Rihanna. This is Myra, it's your podcast. I have to ask these questions because somebody knows somebody. But so those are a couple of the things. And I'd say the last thing is this lack of ability in imposter syndrome. And it can be said tons of different ways. But studies show is humans thrive in community, women thrive in community, and women of color are like astonishingly more productive and work together and don't have to be doing the same things for the community to launch them forward. So I, I think those are the main things that I've seen, and that we're
Mm-hmm.
also like creating natural, not forced, not planned
Yeah.
out, but natural problem solving to those things.
I love it. My next question is going to be, why should people join the us space? But you just explained it very clearly on why that is important. And here's the thing. Of course, we're going to drop LaGina's links and contact information below, but you don't have to be a part of the us space in the same way. She has virtual activities and events that we do. We do some in-person things, but really, if you are a woman-owned business, especially a person of color, look at the us space to be your space, especially if you work at home full time. My office is in my home, and I look forward to at least once a week getting out, having to get up, get dressed, get myself together, and get downtown to work with some like-minded, like-spirited women. I can't tell you the energy that I get from just getting there. And even if it's a day where I'm like, okay, I got to do these things, and I still have to take phone calls, there's space for you to go do all of the things that you need to do. But again, it's the energy that really gives you that uplift that, you know what, no matter how many no's I might have gotten or how many setbacks might have happened this week or this month or start of 2023, um, I see women that look like me continuing their stride so that I know that I can do it as well. So that is for me been one of those, even on the day that I'm going to go and I wake up, I'm like, ugh, do I really need to drive downtown? Yeah, I do. I need to drive downtown. Or I'm going to hear LaGina going, where are you, Myra?
And it may not just be me because Myra hits the door, y'all, and we be like, "Ooh, hey, Myra Maven." And sometimes people will be waiting to ask a question, and I
Yeah.
think that that's one of those things, like you say. Even sometimes, hell, I'm the founder, and I'm like, I don't want to. And I'm like, you know what? I want to go down there. I want to look at this amazing view. Sometimes I want
Mm-hmm.
to grab coffee. I want to sit on a couch. I want to see other people working in the space, or I know if I stay at home, things are not going to get done. So I need to
Yeah.
knock some things out. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what matters to me as well.
I love it. I love it. And again, it's such a cool, I mean, had you told me 5 years ago that this type of community was possible or would be possible, I would have been like, I don't know. I think we're going to have to go to the other spaces and fit in, right?
Mm-hmm,
And here it
mm-hmm,
is, our innovative, positive disruptor has created a space for us to be ourselves and to be the best version of that. Be the best version of that and continue growing because you're around other women that are also growing and hey, picking ourselves up from a defeat,
mm-hmm.
figuring out what we need to change because the last proposal got rejected. whatever that looks like, you now have not just your eyes to put on something. You can say, hey, can you take a look at this with me? Or can we open up a shared Google Doc and just figure out what I need to do on this? Those are the real life things that are happening. Collaborations. I've been a part of several collaborations since being at the US space. Some I was volunteered, some I was voluntold. Nonetheless,
Don't tell that part of the secret. Once
right?
you're part of the space, y'all, you may or may not be signed up to talk on panels,
All kind of
volunteer for
stuff.
things.
All kind of stuff. I mean, but again, it's when I reached out to you about a fellow friend, Joy Sewing of Houston, who did the Year of Joy ice skating
Yeah.
party. My God, the us space, you guys showed up. We're meeting the kids at the bus. LaGina was doing a whole chant for the kids. Like, it turned into such a joy-filled moment. And that
Mhm.
was just volunteer work. We were just doing some stuff in the community, right? Had
It's so
nothing to
fun.
do with work. It was absolute joy. I told Joy, the creator, girl, keep us in mind for next year. Sign us up. Like we're there for it.
We're
But
ready.
all of those things are important to being a well balanced, well rounded life. We definitely do not applaud the overworked, stressed out, team no sleep theory. That's not what we're about. And it might be the end of a day, and somebody might say, "Hey, y'all want to go have happy hour?" Well, then there's happy hour. It just got planned that quickly. you
Or
know,
LaGina may have a bottle ready for us. Just saying.
we don't have to go anywhere. It's right there, ready for us to consume. So I really want to say thank you for creating such an amazing space. Geared specifically toward women of color. We are not normally at the top of other people's lists, right? But we are top of your heart, top of your mind, top of your intentionality. And I am super, super honored and always happy to be a part of the community. I have my own community, but it's like those two communities have meshed into one at this point, which is again also just absolutely amazing. Because I'm not of the spirit of we have to be at each other. We can be
Yeah.
together. And we're so much more powerful in that way. So we're going to drop all of LaGina's, the us space, the podcast, the radio show, the art work, everything that she does. We're going to share it. Now, LaGina, before you go, I have these rapid fire questions that I'm going to hit you with.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me get ready.
Listen, if y'all only knew the cut up that LaGina and I do for no reason at all, for no reason. It's just because we're alive and we are
Just because you
grateful.
have to laugh and smile in life, like it's hard enough.
Exactly.
Ready?
Okay. So meat, seafood, or veggies?
Seafood,
Seafood. Peanut butter and jelly or grilled cheese?
grilled cheese,
All right. Zip lines or lounging by the pool?
zip line,
Mm, zip lines. Okay. Reading a book or audiobook?
audio,
Just say audio. Nap or no nap?
nap.
Nap. Digital planner or paper planner?
I let the wind guide me.
Oh, that is the first answer that I've had in that way. I love that. But that is truly you. We're talking about LaGina. Biggie or Tupac?
Tupac.
Tupac. Techie or old school?
I'm an old school techie.
Oh, very good. Heels or flats or sneakers? I'll throw that one in for you.
Just like Stomping Ground and the logo, it's all of it. I have all three in my
Right.
car, Myra.
Of course you do. And the last one, ice cream or cookies?
Cookies.
Excellent. Listen, that is it. That's it. I didn't come at you too hard. We made it fun. Made it fun. Listen, I am super grateful for you. LaGina, when I was a guest on LaGina's podcast before I met her in person. We did that during quarantine. And she told me, I think at that time, and I discovered when I met her in person that I'm her person. And she is my person. I love her tenacious yet gentle spirit. We can shoot fire or we can give you a hug. It's, there's an ebb and a flow to it.
Up to
There's an
you.
ebb and flow. Right. I was going to add that part, but then I was like, no, I'm going to leave that out. But it is. It's up to you. Okay, LaGina, before we do our final wrap up, I know you have a goal, some goals around the us space. What is your ask? I know someone watching this episode is going to use their power, their influence, their ability, their money, their resources to help you. So, what is your ask around the us space?
Ooh, thank you for asking. The direct ask for the us space, our goal this year is to move into physical space. Originally when I wrote the plan out for the us space, it was always to be in communities of color and communities led by people of color. Luckily here in Houston, that's the whole city. So we're looking to be in a physical space, whether it's through a revenue share model, whether it's through somebody that already has built out a third flex space and need somebody to come in and manage it, or whether you have a building that you know could essentially help the community in its totality by gifting it to the us space. That's what we're looking for, is to move into a physical space. We have people, orgs, everything that need offices. We want to run more programming, more events. We want to be more sound in our communities, and we can do that and scale and grow through physical space.
I love it. Listen, we're going to put it out there and await for the answer to meet our faith and get this done for 2023 so that we can continue to grow. You can continue to offer all of the amazing things that the us space does. So look, Maven Nation, I appreciate you for joining us again. And until next time, keep doing your BAM thing. Talk with you soon.